Breaking news tonight in the war on terror. A man who had a $25 million reward on his head and was perhaps the single most wanted terrorist in the world is dead tonight after a successful U.S. airstrike. Ayman al-Zawahiri took over al-Qaeda after the death of Osama bin Laden. Tonight, sources telling ABC News he was killed in a drone strike in Kabul over the weekend. The president confirming that to us. Chief Global Affairs anchor Martha Raddatz reports.
He has been in hiding for more than 20 years, one of the world's most wanted terrorists. But tonight, President Biden announcing the United States finally caught up with Ayman al-Zawahiri, killing the al-Qaeda leader in a weekend drone strike in Afghanistan.
Now, justice has been delivered, and this terrorist leader is no more. People around the world no longer need to fear the vicious and determined killer. The United States continues to demonstrate our resolve and our capacity to defend the American people against those who seek to do us harm.
Zawahiri was Osama bin Laden's number 2 and a key strategist behind al-Qaeda's most vicious attacks against America. The assault on American soldiers in Somalia in 1993, the bombing of the U.S. embassies in Kenya and Tanzania in 1998, the suicide bombing on the USS Cole in Yemen, and on September 11, 2001, the plot that destroyed the World Trade Center left a gaping hole in the Pentagon and claimed nearly 3,000 lives. President George W. Bush vowing to bring the terrorists to justice.
I can hear you, the rest of the world hears you, and the people who knock these buildings down will hear all of us soon.
A decade later, the next president announcing U.S. Special Forces had killed their number 1 target.
After a firefight, they killed Osama bin Laden and took custody of his body.
But Zawahiri remained elusive, hiding out in the border region between Afghanistan and Pakistan.
No matter how long it takes, no matter where you hide, if you are a threat to our people, the United States will find you and take you out.
Martha Raddatz reporting for us. So for more on the significance of this strike, we're going to turn to ABC News contributor and former Deputy Assistant Secretary of Defense for the Middle East, Mick Mulroy. Mick, thanks so much for taking the time. I know you've been watching these developments all night. President Biden said the U.S. will make sure that Afghanistan will not become a terrorist center of operations again. In your view, does al-Zawahiri's death effectively end terrorist operations in Afghanistan?
So, Phil, it absolutely is a big success for the U.S. counterterrorism efforts. It does show that the men and women of the CIA will never relent when it comes to tracking down people that have done harm to the U.S. people. But it also was overcoming the issue that resulted with the full withdrawal of U.S. troops and presence from Afghanistan. So they did this despite those obstacles. I think it does show, as the president says, that we can do over-the-horizon operations, but they're not easy. This was an incredible operation in which they tracked down an individual, the most wanted man in the world, who was being housed by a Taliban senior leader, and killed him without injuring anybody else in the compound. My hats are definitely off to all the men and women of the intelligence community.
Something this big happens and there will be ripple effects. What reaction are you hearing from your contacts in the Middle East?
So most were, I think, surprised in the sense that we could carry out this type of operation. And they were, I wouldn't say surprised, but they certainly were concerned about the Taliban's complete lack of care and even willingness to house the most wanted terrorism suspect in the world. So they are not only doing nothing to prevent terrorist organizations like ISIS-K and al-Qaeda from operating in Afghanistan, they were actually protecting the number 1 terrorist in the world. So it shows that they are not a partner at all, that they did not intend to carry out any of the agreements they had in Doha, and that they are allowing Afghanistan to be a haven for terrorists.
Mick, you're also a military veteran, a Marine, as we've said before, and then a CIA paramilitary operations officer. As we learn more about this operation, as President Biden laid it out for us there, it probably won't surprise you, but it may surprise many Americans to hear that we have the capability to fire Hellfire missiles from a drone and take someone out on a balcony and not hurt anybody else, we're told, in that house.
And I can understand why you would be impressed. I've seen the evolution of our drone operations over, 30 years now. And what this type of drone is, this type of munition, I should say, is to deliberately try to avoid any collateral damage. So anybody that we don't intend to kill doesn't get injured. And how they do that is they send these blades from a Hellfire missile spinning at thousands of miles an hour, but in a very concentrated trajectory. So it will go through and essentially vaporize a human body, but somebody standing within feet of this person would not be injured at all. And I think just hearing the description of what happened and how Zawahiri was killed on a balcony, that's probably the type of munition that were used.
Mick, you mentioned this, and our Martha Raddatz was reporting this earlier on, that senior Taliban leaders in Afghanistan were aware that al-Zawahiri was in Kabul. What do you expect, and this is tricky now, what do you expect the response to be from America?
So I think there's going to be a time where we will look at all the intelligence. What I'm referring to is on social media, where a senior Taliban commander likely had control of that house. If that proves to be true, then this is going to have to be addressed, because the Taliban, I don't think, should ever have been trusted, but 2 consecutive administrations did trust them, and they have proven to be completely untrustworthy. They are essentially the same organization as they were on September 11th, 2001, housing the very leader of al-Qaeda, the group that actually carried out the attacks on 9/11. So this is not going to be an easy issue to deal with, but we're going to have to do it, because this is not the end of terrorism operations, nor the threat that could be emanating from Afghanistan.
Mick Mulroy, ABC News contributor and former Deputy Assistant Secretary of Defense for the Middle East. Thank you for your conversation with us tonight. We appreciate it.
Hi, everyone. George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel. And don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.